Okay, July 24th. A couple things today. Number one, in 1862, Martin Van Buren died. Martin Van Buren was president from 1837 to 1841. Elected in 1836, he was the vice president to Andrew Jackson. So after Jackson's presidency, Martin Van Buren continued with a lot of policies. Had kind of a failed presidency. He had some financial crises and some other things that didn't go right. So he lost his re-election bid in 1840 to William Henry Harrison. So he stayed active in politics for the rest of his life, dying at his home of heart failure in 1862. Interesting fact about Martin Van Buren. Well, two things. One, he's the only president whose native language was not English. He was actually Dutch, and so he grew up speaking Dutch and learned English as a second language later. Second thing is, when I was born, my parents lived in Van Buren, Indiana, and that's one of the, I think, 5 towns that are named after Martin Van Buren. So that's it for Martin Van Buren. Passed away today in 1862. He was our 8th president. The other thing that happened today was in 1974. The United States Supreme Court ruled unanimously against Richard Nixon that he had to turn over the tapes, the secret tapes that had been taken in the White House Oval Office during the Watergate investigation. And the discovery of the tapes was almost accidental. It was during one of the congressional hearings that a staffer made some comment about these tapes. So then investigators pursued them. They went to the Supreme Court. Richard Nixon tried to argue executive privilege, that he didn't need to turn over the tapes. Ultimately, Supreme Court, again, unanimously ruled that he had to turn over the tapes. The tapes are what finally implicated him directly in the cover-up, not in the actual break-ins of the Watergate Hotel, but in the subsequent cover-up to try and hide the fact that the break-in of the DNC had happened. So that happened today in 1974. That would ultimately lead to his resignation because even though he wasn't impeached, the leaders in the House and Senate basically came and said, we don't have the votes. So if you fight this, you're going to lose. So Richard Nixon resigned. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. I'll see you tomorrow.